And here's some, wow, hold on. Let me see if I can adjust some so I'm not out of frame. So anyway, sorry to be tardy. I was looking up some things and time got away from me. So if you have been watching anything online lately, you have probably seen the trend of horrible, unspeakable things being done with Velveeta. So I'm gonna try to fix that. So I have some ground chicken here and my garlic and my lemon. So we're going to be using Velveeta to do something more fun with. And right now I am beating up and smushing a lemon, and I will show you why in a bit. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to oil my board. Anyway, I am so thankful you're here to watch this. If you are new to the channel, please slam that subscribe button. The more subscribers I have, the more my channel can grow and I can reach more awesome people like yourselves. So I have my lemon that I have been kind of beating up now and then, which I'm still kind of beating. And yeah, just beating that up. So I also have a pepper. I was going to use a green pepper, but it was actually cheaper to get the color set of 3 than it was to get like 3 green peppers. Hey, thank you. And so I'm going to be using the pepper. I'm going to be using an onion. You can use any onion you want. I have white. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making a nacho dip. Hey! So thank you. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start chopping up my onion. Is this the knife I want? No, this is the knife I want. So actually, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and chop up the onion since I have it here. So I have my onion. Go ahead and dice that up. Make sure the plug is in the sink so that the onion doesn't end up jamming the sink. So I want to dice my onion completely. Which, by the way, the reason I oil the board is to kind of protect the wood, because that's the last thing you want is, you know, a warped board. And oiling it up beforehand tends to preserve it. Which, peeling the paper off onions is always fun. But I'm getting way ahead of myself today. So the first thing I'm going to do, and like I said, I'm going to be using Velveeta, is I want to make myself some pico de gallo, because what I am ultimately doing tonight is I'm making nachos. So the pico de gallo is going to be first before I start making the rest of my nacho topping, which is going to be basically cheesy taco chicken. Make sure I get all the paper off the board. Then I'm going to go ahead and dice this sucker up. Can you see what I'm doing? Oh, I missed it. So I usually try to do as much as I can with one knife, but as you can see, that's not especially the case here because I'm going to be chopping a lot of veggies. And what you can do if you're scared of your knife is curl your fingers, but I've never had luck with that. Thankfully, my son is so young that he's gotten pretty good at the whole curl your fingers thing. So I got that half chopped up. And let me check this real quick. What does this button do? What kind of oil are you cutting? Okay, for my cutting board, I use just generic vegetable oil, anything you want, really. Because the whole point of the oil is you're not tasting, you're not burning. You're just putting it on there to preserve it. So that's so like the dings and the stains and stuff don't end up getting too caught up in it. So I'm kind of like always try to make sure you know where your fingers are. Mistakes are going to happen. You're going to get cut now and then. But for whatever reason, it just seems like this knife is sharper than usual. So I have here a bowl. I'm going to go ahead and put my onions in the bowl. And this is for my pico de gallo that I'm making tonight. It's going to be nice and fresh and delicious. So now that I got my onions in there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a can of tomatoes. Now you can use fresh tomatoes, but what I like is the diced tomatoes with the green chilies. It's going to give it a little bit of a kick. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in. And the can opener works tonight. Okay. Now usually I try to drain my cans, but I'm going to go ahead and let that juice get in there. So I have my onions and my my onions and my tomatoes sitting here. Just give it a quick stir with the spatula, get them flavors together. So that looks like half pico de gallo right now. So I'm gonna add my yellow that I usually use green, but for whatever reason the green was expensive this time. I just like contrasting as much color as I can, and I usually use peppers to do that. So I'm going to cut the rinds out real quick, pull the stem off. Before I go to town, and if you can't see, I'm just pulling the whiteness out. Sorry, I apologize. I did that off camera. And then use your knife and just kind of carve out what you can. You don't want that. There we go. And then dice the pepper up. Okay, got that. Then I'm going to go continue dicing this pepper up. Then pull all the rind off the side. My bad. Pull that out real quick. And you can usually just use your fingers. It's pepper. It's light. It's easy. So get that going real quick. And I know you guys are commenting. You guys are like wildfire commenting, which is awesome. But if I'm not looking up, I miss it. And I apologize if you're talking to me and I miss it. I really, really do apologize, guys. So I got my diced pepper now. Almost. If I can get that last slice. I love diced pepper. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw this in the bowl. Whoops. Throw some of it away. So give this a real quick stir, real quick. Put my board aside for a sec. So it looks evenly distributed between the peppers, the onions, and the tomatoes, which I'm really liking the orange because it gives it a lot of color, which I like watching colorful food. So then, and I know I'm usually super, super frugal with it, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add cilantro. I'm going to add more than I usually add in a recipe because on pico de gallo, it's awesome. So I got my cilantro in. If I can put that in there, there we go. And I'm kind of like folding it around rather than stirring. So I got the cilantro mixed in well. And if you noticed, I was beating up this lemon. Well, all you have to do with the lemon is kind of like beat it and roll it. And if you get it real good, beat up its insides, you can actually just use it as juice, which is one of the things I love doing with lemon. So I'm just going to slice this sucker open with a sharp knife. See if this one works. Nope, I'm not going to use that one. Use this one. Try not to cut myself, and then just squeeze that lemon juice in. And the reason I chose to do it this way is I don't want all the lemon seeds and whatnot in there. I just want the juice. And I've already squeezed about so many seeds in there that I'm going to have to pull out in a sec. Yep, more seeds. So I probably should not have done that way. But you know what? This is how we learn. So I'm just going to take the knife and actually I can use my fingers and just pluck them seeds out. Because I see where they're all sitting. It's kind of like the eggshell of lemons. Which I'm sure they probably contain like cyanide or something. So you definitely don't want those in there. Because usually seeds can be toxic. Get out of my pica. So whoever just did, you just froze my video. And it's okay. So, oh, one more. Get out of there. Got it. Okay. So like I said, now I'm just going to take my lemon juice and I'm going to toss my pico de gallo in that lemon juice. Maybe add just a wee bit more. All over myself. Actually tastes really good. I'm quite happy with that. All right. Make sure everything is tossed into that lemon juice. Hey, baby, are you inside? All right, you can stay in. Just no internet, okay? It's been storming outside, so of course she wants to stay in. So now I'm going to let my pica just sit and chill and let all the ingredients mingle and become delicious. So I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to grab my cutting board back out. And if you notice, I'm not using a saucepan or what do you call it? Hold on. I just hit the snooze button. I apologize. It's going to be back in a couple minutes. So I just, I'm going to let that marinate for a while. And while I do that, I've got my chicken and I got my little garlic cloves. Now, if you remember last episode, my garlic press bit the dust. So as much as I hate this, I'm actually going to cut my garlic. I'm using 2 cloves. And I'm just going to slice them the best I can because I hate slicing garlic. It's just so little. And the problem with garlic is you want it even smaller. That's why I like using my press or minced. But this is what I got right now. So let's do this. So I am cutting this garlic as tightly as I possibly can. And I was going to put the garlic in the pico de gallo, but the thing with garlic, I kind of want to roast it to release its flavor. Otherwise, when it's fresh, it can be a little too harsh. So I got to cut one way. I'm going to cut it into slivers. going to be a little chunkier than desired, but it is what it is. So I got that cut. Now start on my next one. And I've discovered that if you cut long ways, not long ways, cut like, I guess, short ways and then rotate it, it's a lot easier. Try to hold it together best you can too. See little slivers, and that works out pretty good. Sometimes it's easier than other times, but that is what it is. So now I'm going to put my burner on. I actually put this on a 4. I guess you'd call that medium heat. I'm going to, use a little bit of olive oil because I do want the olive oil to taste. What is in the bottom of the pan? Oh. Because I got the olive oil now. If you remember last episode, I actually opened it. So while I got that, I'm going to take my garlic. And I'm just going to saute the garlic a little bit, get it roasted. Because garlic likes to be moist. So while I got that cooking, I am going to open my cheese and just let it kind of sit here for a sec. And the reason I'm opening it now,
I want to decide who lives and who dies.
Every time. You guys know I'm live. So I'm actually going to use the wrapper to try to protect it because I've cut veggies on this board. I don't really want to change the flavor of my cheese too much. So here's the cheese. I'm just going to let that sit. Toss this around a little. And the reason I'm using the big pot is because I'm actually going to add the chicken to this when I saute it. And I'm going to add the cheese to the chicken. So I don't want like a little frying pan and stuff going everywhere. So I got that going. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the cheese. So here's a hack with Velveeta that a lot of people don't realize. Now it's a pain, but if you cut it into chunks, it actually melts better. And the thing I've been seeing with the online videos is people are just putting a block of Velveeta into whatever abomination they're creating and then stirring it up. And what that does is it doesn't cook evenly. So I have that going. I'm going to go ahead and toss the garlic a little. Let that roast, and I can smell it, which is great. And like I said, I would have added the garlic to the pico, but I think raw garlic would be too strong. So I'm going to cut my cheese a little more, and then I'm going to add that chicken to the hot. And this is already kind of like melting together. And then I'm going to add the chicken to the hot garlic. So I kind of have this just separated, just kind of cube it, cut it up some. So like I said, it cooks evenly. It cooks so much better if you cut it up. So, okay, my garlic is starting to sizzle. So I'm going to give that another turn. And then I'm going to put my chicken in it. And I am seasoning the chicken with just regular taco seasoning. I'm going to use a lot because it's chicken, and just throw that in there. As much as you want, as little as you want. Chicken doesn't care as long as everybody's happy. I'm going to go ahead and start stirring in my chicken. If you can see it, it's just basic chicken and taco seasoning. Probably used a little too much, but that's okay. Mix that up. And what I like about chicken is you don't really have to drain it. It cooks very lean. And normally, if I was doing this, I'd use beef, but of course there's that weird child that doesn't like cow for some reason, so I'm using chicken. And usually on taco nights, we use 2 boxes of taco mix, or taco night stuff from Taco Bell. So what happens is
I want to decide who lives and who dies.
So what happens is we usually use half ground chicken, half beef. So I'm gonna finish just chunking up my Velveeta while I get my taco chicken going. So got that going, got this going. So I love and appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much. If you're not aware by now, my audience is very heavily male dominated. I really want to cut back. Not really cut back, but if you guys have wives, girlfriends, mistresses, sisters, daughters, mothers, please share this channel with them. Have them subscribe. I would love to have more women involved, because here's the thing about cooking. I really believe in the ratatouille thing, that anybody can cook. And I'm actually going to bring you up and closer so that you can see my face since I'm done with my cutting board. And I've turned this chicken up some so that I can really get it cooking. Because it doesn't really matter how long you cook it, as long as you get it white, which in this case, it's not going to turn white so much. It's going to turn red, but you can tell when it's still done. Because I am a firm believer that anybody can cook. And I actually know full-grown adults, usually women, who can't cook. And that's not right. That's just a basic thing that everybody should have. So if, the zombie apocalypse happens tomorrow, you don't have a reason to starve other than you can't find stuff. So get that going. I actually just put it on high. Ooh. I cleaned out the noodles. I don't know why it's still combusting. But we'll see. And usually what you can do with taco seasoning is you can let it simmer for 10 minutes, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get this chicken cooked. And you can see where it's starting to liquefy slightly. Well, you can't see it, but I can. And it's spreading that taco seasoning around, which I'm actually going to add just a wee bit more taco seasoning and get this brown. Now, if you turn it up on high like this, what I do is I definitely stir fry it. I'm just cooking it as, fast as I can. And then you have to turn it back down. And I like doing it this way because you can chunk it up better. That didn't sound good. Huh. Oh well. Okay. That's not a good sign. I know you're not doing it. I know I cleaned you out. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this down back to medium because it is cooking. And it's starting to turn white. I knew that was coming. There we go. You can see in the juice, it's starting to really swirl around and flavor up my chicken. And there's some chunks of garlic, which are a little bigger than I wanted, but it is what it is. And I'm actually really excited about this. I love nachos. It's not even funny. So you can see the chicken's starting to turn white, which means it's it's starting to cook through. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give this probably another minute. And I got it just chunky the way I like it. And like I said, this might not be the thing you want to do with your Velveeta, because I know some of you, and this is raw chicken that I just got on my hand. And this is really smoky in here. So, I got my cheese cut up, and the fun thing about cheese is with Velveeta especially, or you can just use the generic stuff, which is a lot of times cheaper. Woo! A lot of times cheaper than the Velveeta, and it works the same way. So I got my chicken ready. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to put my Velveeta on top of this chicken. And you see what I did right here? I used the paper, so I have it all easy. Just slop it right in. And it's all chopped up. It'll cook easily. It'll cook evenly. Oh, it's true, yeah. So I'm going to melt this cheese into this chicken. I'm going to keep stirring it. I'm going to actually turn the heat back up. And if you can see already, the cheese is melting. So it's cooking evenly and perfectly the way I want it to cook. And you can drain the chicken if you don't want the fat, but the thing is with the chicken, it doesn't really make that much fat. And just keep stirring it up so you don't burn your cheese. In this way, rather than just throwing a block on something, it makes it's more work, but in the end, it's going to be worth it, especially with the taco seasoning. And what you can do, if you're really feeling adventurous, you can actually see my cheese start to boil a little. I'm going to keep flipping it and mixing it in so it can melt down. You can even throw the pico de gallo in here if you want, which I'm not going to do because I want my pico de gallo to taste super, super fresh. And now I got that. If you look at it, it's just clumping perfectly. The cheese is almost melted. And this is a lot easier than just a brick of Velveeta. Okay, now my cheese is getting a little too bubbly, so I'm going to remove it off that heat. And I'm going to continue stirring it so that it's thick. It's actually perfect to what I want. Now is clean all this up. I'm going to bring back my pica that I set aside here at the beginning of the video. So now I got my pico de gallo. I got my cheesy chicken here. I'm going to grab a bowl. And first thing I'm going to put in my bowl is I'm going to add some sour cream with a spoon. And this is the part of the nachos that I like the best because you can do anything you want. So I have my bowl here. I am going to add a spoonful of sour cream. Okay, set the sour cream aside. I am going to add a scoop of this cheesy chicken that I just made. And you can add as much as you want. I'm actually going to use a spoon. Hold on, let me get my spoon. I thought a spatula would work, but look at that. That is beautiful. Let's throw this in the sink. Give this a nice stir for the next person. And then I'm going to use some pico de gallo. See that? That is beautiful. It's a little more oniony than I'd like and not as tomatoey. So you know what I'm going to do to fix this actually? I'm going to add another can of tomatoes. Which I've lucked out. I have diced tomatoes without the green chilies, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that in. Turn that off. So again, I'm just going to throw this into my pico de gallo. That looks a little more solid than the last can, but just adds more. Oh, these are even thicker too. Oof. Oh well. It is what it is. It's a whole nother brand. It's not the ones with the diced chilies. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir. And that looks a little more pica de gallo. So I'm going to take a nice chunk of that. I'm going to throw it over my chicken. And I'm going to actually go ahead and add more chicken to this. And you can see like it's starting to crust up. Just give it a stir and it figures it back out. And then, yeah, make sure like every serving, just give it a good stir and it'll work out. And then I'm going to top this with some Taco Bell mild sauce, my absolute favorites. Is that the front? Yeah, that's the front. And sometimes the mild sauce is hard to find. Sometimes any Taco Bell sauce is hard to find, but when you do, it's worth it. So I'm just going to drip it across like that. And then I'm going to grab my nachos. So let's see how this worked out. Get in there and get as much flavor as I can. Whoops. Break my chip. I'm going to try to get some of the pica and some of the chicken on the chip. Every bite's going to be different. That's perfect taco cheese chicken. A pica. And I got the pica on it. That's perfect. It's a little more tomatoey than I expected. But it's got a really good flavor. It definitely tastes like fresh pica. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Sound like beef along with ranch. Looks good. Okay. Yeah, you can put ranch on if you want ranch. I would have used beef. I have a picky child eater. That's why I did not. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I try to go live on my YouTube twice a week. I go live. I upload on TikTok, which is also Amber Burns Black. My PayPal is on the description, which is also Amber Burns Black. There's a link. If you like what I do, you can please support me. I have made huge changes that seem subtle, but they've made a difference because of supporters like you, which is awesome. I'm going to be adding my Amazon wish list and a Walmart wish list to the description later so that you guys can see my goals if you wish to help me out with that. Subscribing is also the best way to help me out because that gets me more viewers and eventually I can open a merchandise shop. So I love you guys. Stay awesome. Stay gorgeous. I will see you later.